Hello, everybody. Grace and peace unto you. This is Dr. Adrian Blue of Adrian L. Blue Enterprises, and we're welcoming you today to our Better Life broadcast. That's right, our Better Life broadcast. This is where we teach and empower you on how to build and establish the better life. Certainly, anybody who's been a follower of our teachings, you know that our focus is not to entertain, but to empower. Again, not to entertain, but to empower. And certainly we're grateful that you are tuning in. We are live now in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That's right. We're live in Pittsburgh. And today I'm going to be doing a teaching on the 7-step life cycle of money. And again, this deals with monetary policy, because a lot of what we do on teaching people how to build and create wealth is to get them to understand that building wealth is a matter of a formula than it is luck. You don't have to be lucky to be wealthy. No, you don't. You just got to know what to do. And the part of that is understanding how money works. And it's often so amazing how so many people want money, but they don't know how money works. They don't know the difference between currency and money. I'll tell you a quick story. On my journey, when I first started, one of the greatest things that I began to understand when it came to monetary policy, which really changed me, is when I understood that there was a difference between money and currency. There's a difference. There's a difference between money and currency. And you get this, I didn't learn this from school. I certainly didn't learn it in church. Nothing wrong with those places. Didn't learn it from my family. I learned it from a billionaire, a billionaire we call him, someone who is very wealthy, who taught me that if you're going to build and create wealth, you got to do it in the way that the wealthy does it. And that's why oftentimes the top 3% of the world continues to get richer while the other 97% gets poorer, or they lack, because they just don't understand. I'm a man of faith, and in Scripture, the Bible declares in the Old Testament, my people perish for lack of knowledge. That means what we don't know will oftentimes cause us to perish. It will cause us to experience lack. And so, again, my intent and purpose of coming before you today on this Better Life broadcast is to teach you the 7-step life cycle of money. And if you stay tuned, when it's all said and done, you're going to see the power that exists as it relates to these 7 steps and understanding how we come to the money system we're on. And now when you get ready to build wealth, not make money. You want to make money? That's simple. I'll give this to you very simply. You want to earn money? Sell a product or provide a service. And guess what? You've earned money. But how do you take the money you're earning and building cash flow? And again, this is not the time to discuss, is that the will of God for you? Of course it is. It's the will of God for you to be in a no-need state. How else could he be the provider if you don't have provision? So oftentimes, the reason why most people don't have provision is they don't understand the way that God provides and how to work what it is that God has provided. And it's my intent and my hope as a teacher and a wealth building specialist that we can help you with that today. So get ready. Get your notes, get your pens and papers. I want you to go through this with me together. So as I teach you, the same thing that I've learned from my mentor, the life cycle of money, you too are going to learn the life cycle of money, and it's going to change your life like it's done mine. All right, so let's get started again. Thank you for tuning in. For more information about what we're doing, who I am, you can visit me at adrianlblue.com. That's adrianlblue.com. We are focused, a nonprofit organization that is focused to building people in poor and developing communities, teaching them how to build and create wealth, sustaining wealth through biblical instruction and right now action. So again, we're serious about what it is we're doing, and we're happy, so happy that you're here today with us. Ooh, yes, right. We are all excited that you're listening. Okay, so let's get started with today's teaching as we go forth on the life cycle of money. The life cycle of money. Step number 1, or what we like to call stage number 1, a barter market begins. See, societies organize and they begin to function with the basic barter system for trading goods. You have a barter who is who directly exchange goods for goods, and in this barter system, goods are defined as wealth. And wealth is produced by human labor. And how that happens is humans apply labor and knowledge to extract human resources from the earth. And as the civilization progresses, services become of value and are also bartered as well. A citizen may produce or barter his goods or services, and their perceived value to the community is equal to his individual or family wealth. So in this life cycle of money, everything starts with the barter market, what we understand, the trading of goods and services. That brings us to stage number 2. You ready? Free market money emerges. After a barter economy is well established, a society progressive to the concept of free market money, and a currency system emerges. Having a recognizable, reliable, uniform unit of monetary exchange facilitates business, commerce, and trade in between its citizens, its communities, and societies. And listen to this important fact. For 5,000 years, the currency of choice have been gold and sometimes silver. And many civilizations have selected these precious metals as money-based on trial and error and often independent of each other. So the philosopher Aristotle, he posed 4 critical attributes for money nearly 2,500 years ago. Here's what he wrote. He wrote that money, anything used as money, must be durable. It must be, number 2, portable. Number 3, divisible and intrinsically valuable. And gold has been repeatedly determined to be the best store of value because it does not tarnish, it does not corrode, it is easily stored and convenient to be transported great distances. It can be minted in small or uniform pieces, and it is scarce, which means not everybody have it. That's what also maintains its value. Although not as ideally suited as gold, silver have often served as a primary monetary instrument for trade and exchange as well. So gold and silver is what was established in stage number 2 of the life cycle of money as free market money. And then we get into stage number 3. All right. And a lot of people have different feelings on stage number 3, but it is what it is. Here comes the government to regulate the market. So the market is here, but now comes the government to regulate it. And communal order is now required in a functional society, and therefore a government is formed. And sometime later, government becomes involved in the regulation of the marketplace. Its size and its power grows, and it begins to control more and more aspects of business, of commerce, and trade. Laws and rules and regulations are instituted to regulate and control the trade through tariffs, through taxes and quotas and penalties. And taxes are imposed as a means to limit the wealth of ordinary citizens and preserve the power of the rulers and support the growing government's agenda. See, the economic system is increasingly divorced from a free market and forced to operate in the regulatory regime where governments control the money supply. And that's the issue that we're having today with these cryptocurrencies. Because a lot of people who are going into cryptocurrency, it's free market money, in a matter of speaking. They call it Gold 2.0. But at the same time, it's out of the realm of government. And not that you just want to be out of the realm, because having a government to regulate the market is real good because you're protected in your transactions. But when it gets to the point where taxes and tariffs and all kinds of quotas and penalties are imposed, then it's designed to keep poor people poor. Because no matter how much you earn, it can be highly taxed. And that's out of here. That's why anybody who understands our tax system, it was made for the entrepreneur, for the business owner, not for the regular W-2 owner. or employee, if that makes sense, W-2 employee. So, okay, so now we're on stage 3, where the government regulates the market. Now we move to stage 4. This is the step 4, stage 4 of the life cycle of money. Here is where the government monopolizes the money. The government monopolizes the money. See, the government takes absolute control of the money supply and then sets up a currency system to offer official coinage from a central bank or central mint. It controls the size, the design, the weight, the purity of the coinage, and later the government issue paper promissory notes, redeemable in coinage, and decrees that these notes are money, i.e., or for example, fiat currency, which are exchangeable for goods and services backed by its own laws. See, the government institutes a monopoly of the monetary system and forbids local governments, banks, or citizens to compete by issuing public and private currencies. See, here it is where the government comes in. This is what they say, that we're going to use the dollar. In this case, doing this out of America, the U.S. dollar is now going to be known as money. Now, again, the dollar is not money, but it's being known as money because of the government decreeing it to be so. So the green stuff in your wallet, your purse, your bank account, under your mattress, in the corner under the rug, wherever you put it, it's really not money. It's currency that the government now decreed it to be money, and that's what goods and services are now traded from. So stage number 4 brings us to stage number 5. Here is where the government debases the money. See, government must increase taxes to sustain its continual growth, and citizens protest the seizure of their hard-earned wealth through erroneous taxation. In order to fund its growing obligations, the government, and lessen distant from higher taxes, the government begins to debase the value of its money. And historically, governments have shaved off pieces of coins, or issued smaller coins, or made coins with less gold and silver content. And the next step occurs when the government removes all the precious metals from its coinage, and eventually it declares that the promissory notes are no longer redeemable in precious metals. At this point, there is no basis to the monetary system other than the government's promise to pay. And the issuance of currency without backing of precious metals like gold and silver allows the government to create money at its own will for its own purposes. We know this today as quantitative easing. This is when the government prints and prints and prints and prints, and nobody can say anything about the government printing. The government creates more and more money, and because the currency in circulation increases while the ability of goods and services remain the same, the prices increase. Now we start to see inflation start to take place. And the increase of the money supply is known as inflation. And the consistently rising prices for goods and services are byproduct of that inflation. And inflation robs its citizens and savings by decreasing the purchasing power of their money. Did you hear me? So the more and more things become increased or inflated, the more the purchasing power of money is robbed from you. And I often give this example when I'm talking in these terms. When we look at money in this perspective, right? When we look at things like Coca-Cola, all right, back in 1940, 1950, you could buy a Coca-Cola for probably around 5 cents. You can go to any soda fountain or pharmacy or drugstore, get a Coca-Cola for 5 cents. Well, it's the same company with the same formula, maybe minus one ingredient. But today, if you go get a Coca-Cola, same company, same kind of formula, you're not paying 5 cents. You're paying over $1 or more for one single serving. Now, why is that? Why is it the same goods and services, but we're paying more for them today? Because the more the monetary supply increases, because it's not backed by anything, the value of it is lower. And this is why, make no mistake about it, after 1971, when President Nixon took us off the gold standard, you can no longer redeem what was known first as silver certificates or gold certificates. You can no longer redeem that for gold or silver, because now the dollar is not a silver certificate or a gold certificate which represents its value. The dollar is only a promissory note where the government promises to repay or to stand behind the value of that promissory note. So now we see that the more that's printed in stage 5, the government is debasing the money supply. Then we get into stage 6. And honestly, today, in today's terms, we are teetering between 5 and 6. What is stage 6? No confidence and a collapse of the money. No confidence in the money and a collapse of the money. See, inflation and indebtedness and government deficits increase, and citizens realize that the fiat currency representing their lifelong labors, their savings, and their wealth is continuously losing value. And with poor money management, because, again, not everybody understands money or what to do with it, and the government then begins to manage poorly the money that is being printed by spending more over here than over there and over there than over here. The poor money's management by the government results in a stagnant economy, rising prices, shortages of foods and goods, and increasingly public and personal debt. Think about it. For the first time in the history of mankind, school personal debt, I'm talking about college debt, college loan debt, is literally the highest it has ever been. Not to mention that our deficit, that the government is over $30 trillion or more. At least that's what they say. So the ongoing devaluation of fiat currency leads to a lack of confidence by the citizens and results in runs on the bank, where people now run to get all their money out the bank. And the collapse of the banking system, we've seen over the last 3 years, more banks being closed by the FDIC because of the issue of banking issues and so on and so forth. Civil and political unrest accelerates. And ultimately, the government defaults on its promises to pay, and economic and societal chaos ensues. Thus, we're seeing the challenge of what was happening today, especially with the cryptocurrency. You got some people who are for it, some people who are against it, but you got others who are concerned about their labor and all the time that they've been putting into growing, building wealth and working all their lives. They want to put that in a place where it could be protected. And today, the only thing that's available that we can see that's really safe in the sense of cannot be manipulated is gold, silver, and cryptocurrency. Now, you may have your opinions on this, and that's fine. I'm just teaching you on the life cycle of money. But I'm sharing with you how in stage number 6, where there's no confidence in money and the collapse of money, this is where I believe that we're kind of teetering on entering into. And then after stage number 6, here comes what is called the reemergence of free market money. This is where citizens desire to return to a monetary system that is stable, that is secure, that is not inflationary. They realize that gold is a safe haven for preservation of citizens' wealth, and is the only insurance policy against oppressive government and constant currency debasement.